computer issues.
Ah.
So it's warming up right now.
Here, it's live on here. So it's going to be broadcasting and then catch up.
Is it like a 30-second delay?
It's like 15 or 20.
Okay. Check it here. Whatever you're comfortable with, I don't care, okay? I'm okay. It's pretty powerful. You're okay. I'm okay. Yes, they are nice. Yeah, that's true. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Good to see you. So Jake, it says it's live, but on my screen, is my screen getting refreshed?
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, I think it has having an issue because when we have the power outage, that's the Wi-Fi.
Shabbat shalom, guys.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Come on and make yourself comfortable. See, you got a calendar. Those are great. It's my favorite calendar. It's a great one. Answer.
All right.
Congrats, we've got
a minion.
We got a bar of
Look
food.
at that. We do, indeed. Do you want to start?
Sure.
So I got it on my phone.
Are we all good on the stream?
Do you see it on your?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do, and let me just check one thing before we begin.
Apologize
Yep.
for the technical difficulties.
Wonderful.
This is a certified, so this is okay.
Well, Shabbat shalom, everybody. We're going to
Shabbat
get started with a nigun. So it's a wordless melody. You don't need to worry about the lyrics, and feel free to sing along. Yai, yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai.
Shabbat Shalom, friends. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom here in person in sanctuary and on the live stream. Welcome to our family Shabbat service on the first Friday of this month of January 2022. Wishing a most healthy and happy new year to you and to your family. May it be a good year, a healthful, a safe new year for us and for all the world. Well, we all know that sometimes people like to make resolutions at the beginning of a secular new year. Do you all like to make resolutions? Sometimes, depending on the year. Well, in Judaism, we also like to offer blessings, considering how challenging things are in the world right now. As we enter 2022, I think it's even more fitting to offer wildly unimaginable blessings. That's the beautiful phrase and title of Jewish poet Alden Salavi's piece that I'd like to share at the start of this new year, 2022. Alden writes, "Let us dream wildly unimaginable blessings, blessings so unexpected, blessings so beyond our hopes for this world, blessings so unbelievable in this era that their very existence uplifts our vision of creation, our relationships to each other, and our yearning for life itself. Let us dream wildly unimaginable blessings, a complete healing of mind and body and spirit, a complete healing for all, the end of suffering and strife, the end of plague and disease. When kindness flows from the river of love, when goodness flows from the river of grace, awakened in the spirit of all beings." May it be so in 2022. And such is the hope of our weekly Shabbat. So at this time, we're going to bring in the light and the warmth and the joy of Shabbat with our dear friend Sally Davis as she leads us in the Sabbath candle lighting, which you can find on page 3. We're on page 3 in our green family Shabbat service. Oh, thank you, Cantor.
Thank you. Come, let us welcome Shabbat, a day of rest, a day of joy, a family celebration.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Well, our thanks to Sally. And with our Sabbath candles lit, we have a beautiful tradition here at Temple Sinai. Our tradition is that we stand together as family and as friends, and we share in a Sabbath blessing for our families and near and far, and for all people throughout the world, blessings of peace, wholeness, and well-being. You can find this family blessing on the laminated sheet before you. Actually, it's also on page 4 of your prayer book. So let's turn to the top of page 4. Let's stand together, or I should say stand where you are sitting. And at home, feel free to sit or stand, whatever you're comfortable doing, as we share together in this family blessing.
May God bless you and keep you. May He shine His face upon you and grace you. May He lift His presence unto you and grant you peace. May God
let's remain standing as we turn to page 6. We come to our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
We now open our hearts to the blessings and life and to their source, the divine presence who is one who unites all creation, expressed in the Shema on page 10. Page 10, everybody.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
And please be seated, everybody.
We join together in Micha Mocha, our song of redemption and freedom.
Can't we do the V'ahavta?
Oh, yes, the Ve'ahavta, yes. Page 12, Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha uvkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Well, we all just chanted words of Torah. Those words, the V'ahavta, that prayer comes directly from the book of Deuteronomy, the last of the 5 books in the Torah. at the end of the Via Hafta, actually part of this at the end here, mentions about God freeing the Jewish people from Egypt. And we're actually reading about that in this week's Torah portion, which Cantor is going to chant a little bit later when we take the Torah out. So this week in the weekly Torah portion, in the story of the Jewish people, the redemption, the Exodus begins, and we might know the culmination of the liberation from Egyptian bondage when the Jewish people are at the Red Sea and the sea splits, and it's a magical and amazing and miraculous. And we sing that moment. We sing the words that our ancestors sang when they felt the joy of being free after hundreds of years of slavery. We're going to sing the very words that they sang. It's on page 13. It is the Micha Mocha.
Please join me.
Well, on page 17, we have a special prayer for the Sabbath day. Cantor, it only dawned on me today after I don't know how many years, in looking at this prayer, that this prayer mentions all the things that we can enjoy on Shabbat. And it occurred to me just today, using all of our five senses. It talks about our eyes, our ears, our nose, our sense of touch, as well as our sense of taste. So it's all there, and it's funny when you look at a prayer and it's like, oh, there's something new I hadn't thought about before. So we're going to pray this together, or I should say we'll do it responsively. So I'll lead the first paragraph, and then if we respond in the italics. And these are all the ways that we can celebrate Shabbat using our five senses, using every aspect of our being, as well as our heart and our mind and our soul. So on this day, which is a celebration of creation, we thank you, dear God, for the world which you created. Together we say, you have filled your world with beauty for my eyes, with music and laughter for my ears, with soft things for me to touch, with fragrances for me to smell, with fine foods to sustain me and to bring me delight. As we enjoy the many blessings which you have so bountifully granted, may we too bring goodness into the lives of others. As I recall your blessings, too many to be counted, too constant to be merited, may I be moved to thank you always as I do now. So with that in mind, let's spend a few moments, each one of us, in our very own personal and silent prayer, using our own words of our hearts, of our minds, however we want to connect with God, however we want to talk to God, listen to God. There are so many different ways that we can pray. And we're going to spend a moment now, each one of us, in our very own unique, personal, and silent prayer.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adam lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adam lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת v'chol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Thank you, Cantor. Thank you. Well, earlier in our service, after we lit the Shabbat candles, we talked about our tradition here at Temple Sinai to say blessings, family blessings after our candles are lit. There's another tradition that we have here at Temple Sinai that we do at each and every monthly family Shabbat service. That is, we like to share in each other's joys and celebrations for the month. We celebrate birthdays each month. We celebrate wedding anniversaries. We celebrate achievements at work and at school. And we like to call this our Simcha line. Simcha is Hebrew for joy or happiness. And we're going to do our Simcha line a little bit differently tonight. We're not going to create a line in front as we normally do. We'll wait till things get a little bit healthier and safer for us to do so. But we're inviting people to share Simchas from their seats or wherever they may be standing or sitting. And we're also going to do something unique tonight with our folks at home on the live stream. I brought my laptop from my office, and I am going to, in just a moment, invite folks on our live stream who might be also celebrating a birthday, anniversary, achievement at work or at school to type that simcha in the chat box, and then I'll share that with everybody here, and we'll celebrate here in person and our communities at home who are also with us tonight. So give me one moment. Trying something new in the new year. So I notice we have a number of folks who have the Vimeo on. So if you're at home and you're using the Vimeo application, you can open up the chat box and you can type messages, and I see some messages in there, so this is great. People are using the chat box.
That's so exciting that we get to engage on this new level.
Yes, people are talking about how beautiful the flowers are, and the prayers are beautiful. And yes, oh my goodness, all right, I see a simcha. So there's a little bit of a delay between when people type it in and when I see it. So I want to encourage people at home to please continue if you're celebrating something special in the month of January, or if you celebrate in December, we get a chance to celebrate because it was after our December family service. Please go ahead and type a simcha in the chat box, and then I will share it with everybody here in Sanctuary. So let's also talk about who we have in the sanctuary as people are typing in the chat box. So Owen Weinfeld is celebrating a birthday. Owen, could you stand up, buddy? There he is. There's Mr. Owen.
No, I'm gonna be 80.
He's going to be 80.
800. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of candles on the cake. You're gonna be how
No
old?
cake that could fit that many.
7. You're 7 years old, Owen.
I'm a good
He'll
Oh,
be
okay.
7.
So what's the day of your birthday?
Oh, the 27th.
The 27th of January, and you are turning how old on January 27th?
7.
7.
On the
All right,
27th.
7
Okay,
is
there we
7.
go.
Very nice.
You always say 7
I
is
always
7.
like to rhyme that one. That's a good one. 7 is heaven. 7 is
Exactly.
great. 7 is paradise. 7's like heaven. Awesome. Well, happy birthday, Owen. Thank you for celebrating with us. And so you mentioned, so let's also mention for folks at home, Heather Halpern is joining us from home. Many of us know Heather. Heather is going to be 80 years old on January, you were 80 years old on January 3rd. So happy
belated
80th, Heather.
birthday, yeah.
That is wonderful. Congratulations. Mazel tov to you. And can't wait to celebrate in person with you, but we're so honored to be able to celebrate tonight through the live stream. So fantastic. So we have somebody who's turning 7 this month. We have somebody who turned 80 this month. Are there any other things that we are celebrating? Carolyn, you've got one?
My daughter Emma will be 30 next Thursday.
Oh my goodness. Emma's turning 30 next Thursday. Where does the time go?
Turning 30 during the pandemic doesn't feel, it kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Cantor, you.
Speaking from
you can
experience.
relate. Hey, Owen, do you know where Emma is? No? Carolyn, why don't you tell everybody where Emma is?
Emma is in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. So we're wishing
Gets
everybody in
snow.
Colorado well,
Yes.
and happy birthday to Emma.
For me, though, I'm going to go to visit her for
Okay.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. So say that again?
I'm going to go visit her next week for her birthday,
Depending
If
on
you can get a
conditions.
flight. We
could
hope
always drive.
that we hope the planes are
That's a long
flying
ride.
into Denver and that you're able to visit her. I'm sure she will love that. That's fantastic. Well, happy birthday to Emma. Now, Cantor, you've got some celebrations
Yes,
in your family
in
this
my
month.
family. My brother turned 38 2 days ago.
Oh,
and
happy
then
birthday.
my dad, I maybe don't know if he wants me to say his age, but he has a birthday
Your dad
coming
has a
up.
birthday? So what we do with that is we then ask if we may not want to say an age. Do you know the
I
day of his
don't-
birthday?
Yes, it's the 24th.
The 24th. Okay, so your dad and your brother have January birthdays. Very nice. Happy birthday to them and to the family. Wonderful news. I'll turn back here, Steve. Anything? Okay, we're celebrating. Well, this is great. So this is our first time in the new year. We've done our Simcha line in person and on the live stream. So thank you for participating. Oh my goodness, there's more coming. So let's see. Aha. Thank you, Jake. So Roger Barr, who is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, our friend Roger will be turning 67 on the 31st. And Jake's brother Joe, I keep saying Jake, Jake's doing the live stream tonight. His twin brother Joe has gotten a new job.
Awesome.
Great, that's awesome, Jake. Are you comfortable sharing his new job?
Yeah, he's doing bookkeeping.
All right, bookkeeping, like all in the family, like mom.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, please,
Within the house.
please
coming
wish,
from within the
wish Dad and Joe a mazel tov to us.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Okay, I'm just double checking. I don't want to make sure I lose anybody here.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've got a delay from hearing us too, so it's not that just delayed in getting to us, but they have a delay in hearing us too.
Oh, that's
Sometimes
true.
it
They have a
takes time
delay. They have a
for-
delay in
yeah.
hearing us. Okay. Well, hopefully everybody heard that. Last call for simchas.
Or if you can keep typing it in, we'll still keep celebrating it.
There we go. We will keep celebrating. We'll keep our eye on it.
Yeah.
Well, we want to wish everybody that was celebrating something special this month of January a Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. It's a good sign and good fortune that we are together celebrating here and virtually as well. Please join us in Siman Tov and Mazel Tov.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yehelanu. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yehelanu, yehelanu, yehelanu.
Mazel tov, everybody. Mazel tov. Well, we're going to do something special now that has been a while. I can't remember the last time we did this during a family service. Carolyn, you might remember. It's been a while. We are going to have the pleasure of hearing Cantor chant directly from the Torah. We're going to take out the Torah. Now, normally when we take out the Torah during a family service or during a bar bat mitzvah ceremony, we march around the sanctuary. We thought that tonight, given the conditions going on right now, probably best to do some physical distancing. And so please, as we take the Torah out, please know that we invite you to embrace it with your heart. And when it's a little bit safer to march around with it, then we will march around with it. So we're going to turn in our prayer booklet to page 21. Page 21, and we invite all the folks here in sanctuary to please rise before the open ark as we take the Torah from the ark.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shema.
And please be seated, everybody. Did you want me to quickly introduce it, or would you like to quickly introduce it? What would you like to do? You sure? Would you like to do? It's up to you. You can introduce it. Well, you can find the verses that Cantor is going to be chanting in the big books in front of you. They're in the big blue book, which is the Plout Torah Commentary. It's on page 413. And in the Green Women's Torah Commentary, it's on page 367. That's page 413 and page 367. Now, as mentioned earlier, in next week's Torah portion, it's got the miracle at the Red Sea. In this week's Torah portion, the Exodus begins. The Exodus begins by Pharaoh allowing the Jewish people, after the 10 plagues, to finally let the Jewish people go free after hundreds of years of slavery. And what Cantor is going to be chanting are those verses where the Jewish people start journeying from Egypt, and they are now free. There's, of course, one more piece to the story that's next week. So in some ways, this week's portion, next week's portion are connected to each other very much. But definitely the exodus of the Jewish people begins in this week's Torah portion with the verses that Cantor is chanting. So she's going to begin chanting at verse 35, which is on, again, page 413 in the blue commentary, and in the green commentary on page 367. Chapter 12, verse 35, Cantor's beginning at. And we are honored to call upon our temple president, Steve Abrams, who is going to be doing the Aliyah, the blessings before and after the chanting. Let's see, do you want to give Cantor your Hebrew name?
I call it myself.
Mikhail.
No, what?
More. Mikhail? Yeah.
Ya'amod Shmu Mikel, Aliyah Vatorah.
Okay.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch HaNamarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim. Venatan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvnei Yisrael asu kidvar Moshe, vayish'alu mimitzrayim klei chesef, uchlei zahav usmalot, v'Adonai natan et chen ha'am, be'enei mitzrayim, vayash'ilun, vaynatzelu et mitzrayim, vayiseu b'nei Yisrael miramsei Sukota, כשש מאות אלף רגלי הגברים לבד מטף, וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, וצאן ובקר מקנה כבד מאוד, ויופו את הבצק אשר הוציאו ממצרים, עוגות מצות כי לא חמץ, כי גורשו ממצרים, ולא יכלו להתמהמה, וגם צידה לא עשו להם, ומושב בני ישראל, אשר ישבו במצרים 30 שנה, ו400 שנה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam nata b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Thank you, Steve. Yasher Kol Chet, Cantor. Thank you so much. Grab this guy. Well, we want to thank Cantor for beautiful chanting of this week's Torah portion called Bo. Bo in Hebrew means go, and God asked Moses to go to Pharaoh to begin the redemption that took place. So, it is a Jewish tradition with the Torah before us to say special prayers, in this case prayers of healing, which we do each and every Shabbat. Prayers of healing for people we know who are sick or injured, people who are in need of a healing of body and a healing of spirit. We invite you to please join us in this Misha Berach prayer of healing, which I believe is on page 24.
Page 24.
Page 24, right in the middle of the page.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Well, at this time, we invite you to offer the names of people you know who are in need of healing. We'll go around the sanctuary first. Please raise your hand and call out their name if you're thinking of someone in need of healing. Yes, please. Angela. Yes. Thank you. Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Yes. Yes, Leonard, please. Carol and Amy, yes. Thank you, Leonard. And I'm also going to invite our friends at home, since we've been using the chat box, if you'll also, as people are doing, putting names for Misha Berach in the chat box. And as I'm looking at those names, our prayer of healing is also for Jan and Marinelle and Dick Horn and Deborah and Diane and Anne Marie, Matt and Nava and Donna, dear friend Donna Barr. Our Misha Berach prayer of healing is for all the folks listed, and we encourage, if you're still, I know there's a delay, so if you're still typing in the name of someone to include in our prayer of healing, please know that when we pray, our prayers for them, as we now continue our prayer of healing together.
Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pray that they are all healed. Well, it is a Jewish tradition to raise the Torah high for all to see the words of Torah that Cantor chanted so wonderfully. Now, I took the liberty, I don't know if you saw me scrolling the Torah a little bit. I took the liberty, Cantor, to move it over a couple of columns. The reason being, because remember, when we sang the Micha Mocha, it's right there in next week's Torah portion, so it's just a couple of columns over from what Cantor chanted from today. And it's unique because it is poetry, it is a song, so it is laid out in the Torah very differently than most of the Torah. There are just a couple places in the Torah where you've got, because it's all black ink, it's letters, no punctuation, it's just letters and white space.
Black fire on white fire, as they say.
Yes.
Black fire on white fire.
Black fire on white fire, our Jewish tradition, our Kabbalistic mystical tradition says. So, but with that black fire, there's some nice patterns to look at. And with the Micha Mocha, there's a very special pattern because it's poetry. And what it looks like, too, is it looks like the splitting of the Red Sea, which is what it's being sung about. Because there's a column, sort of words here, and then words in the middle. So it almost looks like people walking through the two walls of water that our ancestors walked through in the miracle of the Exodus. So we're going to show everybody that. So when we raise the Torah high, and Jake, I don't know if you're able to get a close-up on that. When we raise the Torah high, you will see the Micha Mocha that we chant each and every worship service that we have at Temple Sinai. Yes. You will see it in the Torah laid out very uniquely, visually. So with that in mind, I'm going to go over here. I invite everybody to please rise as the Torah is raised.
V'zat ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
And please be seated, everybody. Jake, were you able to get a close-up of that?
Nice.
All right.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
I can't wait to see it, and I hope you all enjoyed it. For those of you at home on the live stream, were you all able to see it from where you were sitting?
It's like word art.
Yeah, word art. I like that. Yes. There's a term in poetry, I learned it once, I forgot it, I have it written down somewhere, where, and we probably have seen this, where you've got poetry that's visually laid out a certain way. If you go to Israel, has anybody been to Sfat, Israel?
I have.
Yeah, in Sfat, It's like an art colony that they have in
yes,
Israel.
yes, where they take the whole parasha and they make the art out of the words. It's so cool.
They make the art of the words
Oh, it's
very
amazing.
tiny.
So tiny. But if
Like-
you look really closely, you can see, oh my gosh, those are those words that are...
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
crazy.
Like, so for example, the story of Jonah, the famous story of Jonah and the whale, that text, the whole text could be in the shape of a whale. And if you look very closely, it's Hebrew letters, and if you use a magnifying glass, it is the biblical words of the book of Jonah in the shape of a whale.
Yeah.
So it's...
I don't know what that's called, but it's very cool.
Yeah, but there's a neat sort of a neat style. Well, the reason too I'm asking Jake if he focused on if he was able to focus and zoom in on the story of the sea is that's what I want to zoom in and focus on tonight in a wonderful story that comes from our ancient rabbis in the Midrash. It's a story about a couple of guys who were at the miracle of the Red Sea. They were walking through, but they had a unique attitude toward being freed from Egyptian slavery. This story is retold by Rabbi Lawrence Kushner in a wonderful book of his for children called The Book of Miracles, and I'd like to share it with you now. So as Rabbi Lawrence Kushner writes, when the people of Israel crossed through the Red Sea, they witnessed a great miracle. Some say it was the greatest miracle that ever happened. On that day, all the people saw a sight more awesome than all the visions of the prophets combined. The sea split, and the water stood like great walls, while Israel escaped to freedom on the distant shore. It was awesome, but not for everyone. Two people named Reuven and Shimon hurried along among the crowd crossing through the sea. They never once looked up. Not once. They noticed as they were crossing the Red Sea, only the ground under their feet, that it was still a little muddy, like a beach at low tide. As they were crossing the Red Sea, Reuven said, "Yuck, there's mud all over the place." Shimon replied, "Bleh, I have muck all over my feet." "This is terrible," answered Reuven. "You know, when we were slaves in Egypt, we had to make our bricks out of mud just like this." It's true, said Shimon. So there's no difference between our being a slave in Egypt and being free here. And so it went, Reuven and Shimon whining and complaining and kvetching all the way to freedom. For them there was no miracle, only mud. Their eyes were closed. They might as well have been asleep. So Rabbi Lawrence Kushner teaches people see only what they understand, not necessarily what lies in front of them. For example, if you saw a television set or a computer, you would know what it was and how to use it. But imagine someone who had never seen a TV or a computer, let alone a smartphone. To such a person, it would just be a strange and useless box. What is this thing? What is it? I don't even know how to open it. That's what it would be. Imagine being in a store or online filled with movies and stories and music and information and knowledge and not even knowing it. How sad when something is right before your eyes, but you're asleep to it. So Rabbi Kushner wisely teaches us to be a Jew means to wake up and keep your eyes open to the many beautiful, mysterious, and holy things that happen all around us every day. Many of them are like little miracles, little crossings of the Red Sea. When we wake up and we see the morning lights, when we taste delicious foods and grow strong, when we learn from others and grow wise, when we hug the people we love and feel warm, when we help those around us and feel good. All these and more are there for us every day, but we must open our eyes to see them. Otherwise, we'll be like Reuven and Shimon, able to see only mud. So during this new year, 2022, may we open our eyes and wake up to all the miracles that still surround us. All right, well, with that in mind, we are going to return the Torah to the Ark. And so we turn back in our prayer book to page 24, bottom of page 24. So Kendra's going to lead us in Eitz Chaim Hi, and then we're going to go straight into Aleinu. After we do its Tree of Life, we're going to go straight into Aleinu from 24 to 26. And again, when the Ark is opened, we all stand together. So let's all stand together. Page 24, everybody.
Eitz Chaim Hi, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר, דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Page 26, everybody.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
And please be seated, everybody. Thank you. Well, Jewish worship is never complete until we think of those people in our lives, our loved ones who have passed away, yet who remain very much with us in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls. As I mention the name of a loved one who has passed, I invite you to please stand, and then we'll all stand together to recite the Kaddish prayer. This Shabbat, our Kaddish prayer is for Marion Parnes and Susan Schwartz, Marcia Norval, and Leon Johnsons, Stephen Snitzer. Our Kaddish prayer is for Anita Honey Barr, Vera Schneiderman, Joan Keffel Ettlinger, Janet Jeffries, Jennifer Woody, Nancy Lord, Barbara Bolter, Sandra Gainan, Charlotte Hellman, Sylvia Miller, Karen Ness, Fred Michaels. Our Kaddish prayers for Linda Luna, Dr. C. Harold Cohn, and Barbara Abraham. And for those who are observing Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one that is commemorated this week, we remember Catherine Welch and Stanley Friedenberg. We remember Samuel Cash and Ruth Cohn. We remember Lance Gershon and Robert Blyer, Judith Mervis, Donald Reese, Laura Richardson, Dietza Shavit, Howard Cohn. We remember Rose Sulam, Fred Sutton, Roberta Lynn Cooten, Hyman Cooten, Abraham Gottlieb, Marias Hirsch, Hulda Levi, Morris Levy, Sidney Schneider, Minnie Schrag, Stanley H. Schachter, and Fanny Weinrib. Is there anyone mourning a loss whose name was not mentioned? And if so, we invite you to please raise your hand and mention that name now. We also invite our friends on the live stream, if you'll also put in the chat box the names of, if you're mourning a loss at this time. And there's just a little bit of a delay. Yeah, I see the name. We think of Bob Winters. Well, when we think of all of them, and if you're still typing a name in the chat box at home, please know that our Kaddish prayer is for your loved one that you're putting in the chat box. As we all now turn to page 28 in our prayer booklet. And we thank God that they were all with us, that they were all on this earth. As we stand together as a community, let's all stand together as a community as we pray. Yirkadal v'yirkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon u'b'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'nomav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we say, Amen. And please be seated, everybody.
We'd like to conclude our Kaddish prayer with Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu
shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, Steve.
Here are some upcoming events at Temple on Zoom. Minyan and Torah study tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Journey through the Bible with the rabbi on Sunday at 10 a.m. And everyone, please join us a week from tonight for our annual Tu B'Shvat Seder and celebration. Again, this is on Zoom. You'll find details about all this and more in the weekly TSG email blast. Tonight's flowers are presented by Leonard Cash for the yahrzeit of his father, Samuel Cash. In response to the current COVID-19 surge, Temple Sinai is temporarily suspending in-person onegs after Shabbat services, but we look forward to resuming our onegs as soon as it is safe to do so. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so very much. And just to piggyback on something Steve had mentioned, a wonderful upcoming programs that we have here at Temple. Our Tu B'Shvat Seder, which is next Friday on Zoom, is starting at 6:30. This is like a Passover Seder, but it's for the New Year, the New Year for trees in Judaism. So we celebrate the earth, we celebrate the trees, we celebrate the environment and our precious planet. And we're going to be drinking grape juice and different shades of grape juice to represent the seasons, different fruits and nuts that grow in the land of Israel and that also represent symbolically important things in the Jewish tradition. So as Steve said, please check your email about how to celebrate Tu B'Shvat with us virtually. There is, just to give you a little hint, on Sunday there is going to be a pickup of some of those fruits and nuts. So you can take them home and you can celebrate Tu B'Shvat at home and with us. So, but please check your email for more details about that.
All right, wonderful.
Yes, yes, Leonard.
I'd just like to mention for everybody's information, that's one of the reasons we have all the different trees planted outside
Yes.
the sanctuary.
The trees we have planted outside the sanctuary, and we'll discuss that during our Tu B'Shvat Seder for sure.
Yes, in our biblical garden. Yes, thank you, Leonard. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to invite you all to join me for our closing song, Adon Olam, which you can find on page 30 in your Siddur. And please feel free to rise if you feel so inclined and join me in the song. This is Adon Olam. This is Adon Olam to the traditional melody that I'm sure many of you know. So please rise and join me.
Yeah, let's get our bodies into our prayer and into our music.
Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ein Nasa V'chefzo kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Tifara ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni lehamshir lo lehachbira ve'li reishi ve'li tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizra ve'hu eili ve'chai go'ali ve'tzur chavli be'etzara ve'hu nisi umanos li v'nait kosi b'yom ekra b'yado avkid ruchi b'eiti shan ve'aira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us tonight in person and at home. Shabbat Shalom. It is. It is. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday. What are you doing to celebrate? What do you have like a special? Oh, I love that birthday party. Okay, I love it. What's one of your favorite flowers?